Our topic that we will be discussing today is prisoners that are able to do mandatory labor should be paid a minimum wage in the U.S. This is specifically for prisoners who don't do violent crimes such as murder and all that stuff. It's for prisoners who are incarcerated for non-violent crimes such as theft, white-collar crimes, vandalism, and so on. For the affirmative side, our significance claim is as follows. The wage deficit is providing free or cheap labor among inmates in the U.S. According to the Prison Policy Initiative, 6 out of 50 states do not pay their inmates. 8 out of 50 states pay under 10 cents per hour. 18 out of 50 states pay inmates a range between 20 to 10 cents per hour. 2 out of 10 states pay inmates 40 to 30 cents per hour. Most inmates work in their own prison facilities. This helps keep the prisons running at a low cost. In fact, prison wages have dropped since 2001. According to TalkPoverty.org, military gear, ground meat, Starbucks holiday products, and McDonald's uniforms have all been made or are still being made with lower wage prison labor. Another example of how these prisoners are being exploited are the more recent events of the California wildfires. According to an article on ACLU.org, about 200 prisoners are involved in fighting the deadly fires, putting their lives on the line, all for $1.45 a day. Jobs for prisoners are a good thing. Most prisoners want to work to avoid the mundane prison life. These jobs can help these prisoners learn some skills and can be useful to help integrate back into society. However, with that being said, because of the power inequality between prisoners and their employers, there's a very high potential for exploitation and prison abuse. Prisoners are excluded from legal protection. They are not allowed to unionize, they aren't covered by minimum wage laws, and the scarce wages can be seized by the prison. If they are injured or killed on the job, they're not covered by workers' compensation. All of these factors combined make prisoners a vulnerable workforce. Correctional facilities are increasingly using the fee-riddled cards to repay people they release. Money that was in someone's possession when they were first arrested, money earned while working in the facility, and money from family and friends. Before the cards, inmates were given cash or checks. Now with these prepaid cards, these facilities are exploiting these inmates with skyrocket fees, which include a weekly maintenance fee of $1.50, which means the card starts accumulating weekly maintenance fees to cover the cost of FDIC insured account. A $2.75 domestic ATM fee on top of the fee that local ATM charges, and a $38 card to bank wire transfer. All of that which eats into their balance. Our inherency claim is that not paying inmates minimum wage is unethical and is a loophole to slavery in America. According to Constitution Center, the 13th Amendment explicitly states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the U.S. or any place subject to their jurisdiction. America holds the title for the highest prison population in the world, with 2.3 million people nationwide. According to PewResearch.org, the racial and ethnic makeup of U.S. prisons continues to look substantially different from the demographics of the country as a whole. In 2016, Black Americans represented 12% of the U.S. adult population, but 33% of sentenced inmates in prison, whereas whites accounted for 64% of the adult U.S. population, but 30% of the prison population. And lastly, Hispanics represent 16% of the adult population, and they accounted for 23% of inmates. According to Equal Justice Initiative, by the middle of the 20th century, states abandoned convict leasing due to industrialization and political pressure and extended slavery through chain gangs and prison bars. This legacy continues to influence the criminal justice today in places like Louisiana State Penitentiary, named Angela after the provenance of the enslaved people who worked the farmland when it was a plantation. The prison requires incarcerated men to work in the fields. 80% of Angela's imprisoned men are black, and its wording compares the grounds to a big plantation in days gone by. For our solvency claim, the government should rewrite the 13th Amendment to allow inmates to earn fair wages. According to an article called Social Work and Prison Labor, the 13th Amendment provided the first U.S. policy statement on prison labor. Although the rewrite of an amendment has not been done, the rewriting of the 13th Amendment will allow prisoners to be seen still as human beings who deserve a fair wage instead of servants to the state they are being confined in.